Hey guys, and welcome back to the Santa's Bricks. My name is Jevin. Now, if you guys don't already know, The Mandalorian Season 2 is coming out in less than a week. Now, so far, LEGO has released only 3 LEGO sets based on this TV show. So far, they have released the Mandalorian Battle Pack, the Mandalorian ATST, and the Razor Crest. As a matter of fact, here you can see I have the Razor Crest set. Now, overall, this is actually a really great set. However, there are some things that we can improve. So, for this rebuild video, we're going to be taking the Mandalorian Razor Crest ship and we're going to be making it better. So here you can see we have our LEGO Razor Crest set. So the first thing that we're going to work on is the exterior, and then we'll work on the interior of this spaceship. So the first thing that we're going to start off with is the engines. Now these engines are actually really easy to take off the ship. All you do is just pull and they slide out of their places just like so. So the first thing that we're going to fix is this front part here. So we're going to take this entire front section off, and if we just pull, it'll come off of this top Technic axle here. So then we have these parts here. So we're going to keep this big part here as it is, so we can just set this off to the side. So then these pieces here are what we are going to fix. So first off, this yellow Technic axle here is actually a little bit too long. So we can take this out here, and we are going to grab a Technic axle that is just a little bit shorter than our current one. So then we can get rid of this yellow axle. So then for this part here, we can get rid of most of this, except we're going to keep this dome piece, and then down under this piece here we have this black 2x2 round, and we're going to want to keep that as well. But then this big section here, we can get rid of that. So here's what we are going to do. First, we're going to take this flat rounded piece off, and we are going to replace that with a rounded piece, but this one has studs on the top. Then to the top of that, we're going to add a 6x6 round plate. Now on the edge here, we're going to add these rounded and actually slightly curved pieces here, and these are going to go all the way around the outside, just like that. So then on the inside, we're going to add these black curved pieces, and those are going to fit right up against our previous bigger curved pieces. Then we're going to take these two pieces that we saved from the other section, and we're going to put these in the very middle of this piece here. Now let's bring this big piece back over. We're going to take our Technic axle and push it in as far as it'll go. Then we're going to take this piece and just slide it on just like so. So now we're going to do the same thing but with the other engine. So the next thing that we're going to add is actually down here. Now in the LEGO set, they only have these pieces sloping down, and then these gaps here look kind of strange. So what we're going to do is fill in these gaps with some more sloped pieces. So now that we're done with these, we're going to take these and set them off to the side while we work on the rest of the Razor Crest. So for the next part of the Razor Crest that we're going to be working on is all of these side panels here. So first we're going to start off by working on these two ones in the front. So the first thing that we are going to change here is these guns on the front. So if you just pull on these pieces here, you can see they will come out with the Technic axle, just like so. So first let's work on this side here. So the main thing that we're going to be changing about this gun is the position of these pieces on the axle here. So we actually are going to take these pieces off of the axle so that we end up with these pieces here just like so. So now to the top of this column of 2 of those round bricks, we're going to add a round tile with a hole in the middle. Then we can reassemble this. So first on the very tip, we're going to add that piece, and then behind it, this piece here. Then we're going to take this little stack that we have made and slide it on like this. Then we are going to put this back through this brick here that the Technic axle can go through, and then we're going to take this piece and slide it onto the end just like so. Then another change to the gun that we're going to be making is we're going to replace this 2x2 brick with a 2x2 tile, just like that. So for our next change, we're going to actually have to do this from the back. So first we're going to take off this 1x6 plate and this 2x4 plate so that we can see the bricks on the inside. So what we're going to do is take off this 2x2 sloped brick and this 1x2 regular brick. Then we're going to take a 1x2 sloped brick, a 1x1 normal brick, and a 1x2 snot brick. Now, snot stands for studs not on top, which means that it has studs on the side here. So this brick is going to go up on the top, and then down here we're going to put our sloped brick, and then our 1x1 brick is going to fit into that little hole there. Then we're going to put our tiles back on top of these pieces here. Now if we look at the top here, we are going to add a 1x8 tile onto one stud of our snot brick, and then we're going to take a 1x2 sloped tile and a 1x1 plate. We're going to put this 1x1 plate on the end of our tile, and then this is going to go right onto that other stud there. So now let's make these changes to the other side. So now that we are done with these pieces, we can put them off to the side while we continue working on the main part of the ship. So our next change is going to have to do with these side panels, these little guys right here. So for these panels here, all we're going to do is add a 3x4 tile with one row of studs, and we're going to add one of these onto each side panel, just like so. So for the next section, we're going to be working on this part up in here. So first off, onto these studs here, we are going to add a 1x4 tile, just like that. Then just behind that, there are two holes in a Technic beam, and into that we're going to add two of these little pieces here. Now you can see one side is full length and the other one is only half length. So we're going to put it in so that the half length side is facing out, and these are going to go into these little holes here. Then on top of those, we're going to add another 1x4 tile, and it is going to actually connect onto those little tan pieces. Then down over here, we are going to add two of these little blue Technic pins, and once again, those are going to go into some holes in this Technic beam. Just like so. Then onto those, we're going to add a 1x6 Technic plate, and then a 1x6 tile. Just like that. Now let's do the same thing to the other side. So now that we have added those pieces, our next section we're going to work on is this side panel here and the landing gear down here. So first off, we can remove these frozen people in carbonite from the rack, and we can set these off to the side. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to actually take off the floor so that we can get at the bricks underneath. So now we can access these bricks here. So what we're going to want to do is take all of these pieces here and shift them one brick in that direction. So first we're going to take them all out, just like so. Then we're going to put them back in. So first we have this clip, and that needs to go right there. Then we have a 1x2 brick, that's going to go right there. Then another clip brick, which can go right there, and then a 1x1 brick will go right there, just like that. Now, you may notice that we have a 2 brick gap here, and we're going to fill that with a 1x2 brick with the little Technic axle hole in the middle. So then into that, we're going to put a little red Technic axle, and that's going to fit just in there like that. Then we are going to take this piece here, and that's going to slide onto that Technic axle. And then finally we're going to add a black Technic pin, which will go into the hole right there. So now we're going to tip it up, and we are actually going to take this landing gear piece off of the Razor Crest. Now we're going to take this foot piece off. This is really the only piece from that we need, because that is going to go onto the black Technic pin right there, just like so. So now we can set this off to the side while we work on the side panel. So first what we're going to do is flip this upside down. Now we're going to take this big chunk off because we're going to come back to that later. So if we flip this right side up again, first we're going to take this big plate off. Pretty much we're going to take all the pieces apart except for some larger chunks, just like that. So we can get rid of a couple pieces here. First we're going to get rid of this big gray plate and this 2x3 sloped brick. So first we're going to take 4 2x4 tiles, and we're going to put these onto these spots here, connecting these pieces here to this beam here. And then beneath those we're going to add a 1x4 tile, and then beneath that a 1x4 plate, just like that. So next, onto each side we're going to add a 1x6 plate, just like that. Then in this little hole here we're going to put down a 2x2 plate and a 1x2 plate, but it has the hinge on it. Then on top of that we're going to add a 2x4 plate and a 1x2 cheese slope piece, just like that. So now all that's left to do is add a 1x3 tile, and then we're going to take this piece from before and put it right there. Then we're going to take a 1x2 sloped piece and then this 2x4 sloped piece from before. Then we're going to take a 2x3 tile with the hinge clips, and we're going to put this on our hinge piece right in there, just like so. So now let's bring this piece back over. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take this piece off and we're going to move it up one stud, just like that. Then we actually are going to pop that piece off along with this piece. We're going to take this sloped piece off and then put everything back on, just like that. Then we can take our other section and this will click back on, just like so, so that we end up with this in the end. So now let's do that to the other side. So now we're almost done with the exterior. The only thing we have left to do is the back here. So the first thing that we're going to change is there actually is a little gap in the back here. So to fix that, we're just going to take this piece off here, put a 1x2 plate onto it, and then put that back onto the back, just like that. So then next we have this opening door in the back. Now the main problem with this is that it actually can't go up all the way to touch the roof. So we're going to fix that by adding some hinge joints. So first let's start by taking the door off, just like so. So you'll see here that on this door I have these click hinge pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these tiles off and take these click hinge pieces off. Then we're going to just get rid of those, and then we can add our hinge joint and then put these back on. So now you can see here I have the studs facing up on these two pieces. What we actually going to want to do is have them facing down, so that then when we connect it, they actually will be facing up. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pop this plate off here from the bottom, just like that. Then we're going to take these click hinge pieces out, and then we're going to take our door and click it in just like so. Then put our tile back on the top, and then there we have our finished door. So now we are completely done with the exterior, so now we can take all our pieces and put them back on. So first we're going to start off with the cockpit here. So you can see if I take these two pieces off here, we can see our cockpit. Now this is actually really cramped and not all that detailed. Plus you can only see 2 minifigures. So what we are going to do is open this up more. So first let's take our minifigures out of here, just like so. And then for our first piece that we're going to take out this piece here. Now we aren't actually going to use this again, so we can just get rid of that. So if we're going to open this cockpit up more, we're going to have to get rid of this piece here because this Technic beam goes across where I'm hoping to put a third seat. So that means we're going to have to take off all these pieces down to where that is so that we can access that and take it out. Alright, so it took a while, but we finally got down to this piece here, which is what we want to replace. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with these Technic beams here, which as you can see are the same length, but they don't have these crossbars going across. So now let's replace those. So before I put all the pieces back on, let's make a couple more changes before we put everything back on. So first we're going to remove these pieces here. They just pop out of these Technic pins here. So we're going to take these pieces out and we can actually get rid of those. Then we're going to want to take this front part out for this next part. So what we're trying to do is we're going to replace this tan piece here with this section here. Now all this is some tiles on a gray base plate, the same size as this tan one, and it also has an extra chair, which is that extra seat that I wanted to add. So let's take these 2 chairs out and put them on to this piece here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to have to take some pieces up here so that we can get at this tan piece here. Then we're going to take this off and replace it with our gray part here. But before we do that, let's make a few more changes to this area here. So first for this area, let's add something to this side here. Now in the set you can see it's used as storage for these pieces here, which is what the LEGO set can actually shoot. These are missiles for the spring-loaded shooters. But we're going to want to put some cool, fun details in here, so we're actually going to take that piece out and get rid of it. Now you might notice that we have a couple little dips in the floor, so let's fill those in. So down on this end, we're going to take off this light gray grated tile, just like that. Now into that space that it left, we're going to add a 1x2 plate, and then on top of that we're going to add a 2x2 plate. Then into this gap here, we're going to add a 1x4 plate, and then on top of that we're going to add a 1x2 plate and then a 1x2 grated tile. So now onto this part here, we're going to add 2 of these 2x2 round pieces, and on top of that we're going to add a 2x2 rounded tile, which means it has no studs on the top and it has the hole in the middle. Next we're going to build up a little wall behind it. First we're going to start off with a 1x2 brick, then we're going to add a 1x1 brick on the far side, and then up close we're going to add this snot brick, but it has the little lip and the stud is a little ways further back. Then onto that we're going to add this little piston piece, and that's going to go onto that snot brick just like that. And then on top of that we're going to add another 1x2 brick. So now into this area here we're going to put down some tiles. We're going to add a 2x4 tile and a 1x2 tile. So now we have this big open space here, so what are we going to fill it with? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take these black Lego pipes that I've made, and we're going to connect these into the back of the snot brick there, just like that. Now if you wanted to add something else into that space, that would totally work. So next we're going to take this stack of dark tan bricks and we're going to replace it with a ladder. So to do this, we're going to make a pattern of 2 1x2 tiles, then a 1x2 plate with the hinge piece on it, then 2 more 1x2 plates, then 1 hinge piece, then 2 more plates, and then one hinge piece. Just like that. So now that we're done with this side and the front here, now let's work on this other side. So first you can see we have this bed here, so we're going to take that out. And then also, just like on the other side, we're going to take this graded tile out. So now, just like on the other side, we're going to fill in these gaps. So for this one here, we're going to take 2 of these 1x4 plates. And then for our gap down here, just like on the other side, we're going to take a 1x2 plate and then a 2x2 plate. So next, let's build up some walls for a little container. So back here, we're going to add a 1x4 brick, and then we're going to add 2 more of those. So then in front of that, we are going to add a 2x6 plate, just like that. Then on top of that, we are going to add another 2x6 plate. Now onto this, we're going to add a 2x2 tile with 1 stud in the middle, and then a 2x3 tile, and then a 1x2 plate. So next we're going to add a 1x1 brick into this little corner back here, and it can be kind of tricky to get in there, but then once we have that down, on top of that we're going to put a 1x3 brick and then another 1x3 brick. Just like that. Now notice, just like on the other side, you can see here we have this open area with nothing really in it. So what I'm going to use this for is to store our Baby Yoda hover cradle. Now I actually already have a video out on how you can build your very own LEGO Baby Yoda hover cradle. So if you haven't already seen that video, you can click the link that's down in the description. So now that we have that entire interior built up, now we can add this piece back on top. Now, like I mentioned before, you can see here we have 3 seats, all 1 stud apart, and then on the side here I just have some graded tiles and then some 1x8 tiles. So now that we have that attached down, we can take these pieces and put them back up on top, just like so. Then we can take this piece and put it back on the front, just like so. Then we can take these beams and fold them back down so that they are connected to the cockpit. So now that we've made all those swaps, it's time to put all the pieces back on top. Okay, so now that we have all the pieces back on, let's work on the cockpit. So first, let's start off by getting rid of these tiles here. So what we're going to do is, on these dark gray parts here, we're going to put a 1x3 tile on those. Now you may need to take these pieces off here and then put them back down on top. So now onto these 2 studs here, we're going to add these computer screen cheese wedge pieces, just like that. Alright, so next we're going to take this section out here and work on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this 2x3 gray brick, which is this piece here. So we can get rid of that. Then we're left with these pieces. So we're going to line these up like this, and then we're going to put these existing pieces here and here, so that we end up with something like this. So then onto those 2 open studs, we're going to put down a 1x2 plate, and then on top of that we're going to do a silver stud without the stud on top, and then we're going to add a curved tile where it's just curved on the one edge, just like that. Then onto these 2 studs here on this side, we're going to add a 1x1 tile, and then onto this end we're going to add this little stick here. It's like a little joystick where it can pivot back and forth like that. That little lever there. First we're going to take the section that has the 1x4 plate and put it on that front stud, and then we're going to take the section that has the 2x2 plate and put it on the back stud, just like that. So now up here near the back of the cockpit, we are going to add a 1x2 black plate, and then on top of that we're going to add a 1x4 black tile, just giving this a nice clean smooth look, and then we'll do that to the other side as well. So now our cockpit is done, but there's one problem. Since we took out these pieces here, this section of the roof has nowhere to connect to. It just kind of like sits there and falls off. So we're going to fix that problem. So in order to fix the problem that I just showed you, we're going to have to connect these two pieces. So first let's work on this front half. So we're going to take off these back 2 layers of plates so that we can access this 3rd layer right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off these L-shaped plates, and we can put these off to the side. Then we're going to take this 1x2 inverted bracket, and we are going to put that right there. Then we're going to put 2 of these 1x2 plates down, and then we're going to connect this back onto the translucent part. So then if we take the back half here, we're going to take off this first piece just like that, really so that we can get at this layer here. So first what we're going to do is we're going to take off these black hinge pieces, and we can actually just get rid of those. Then we're going to take these tiles with the cut edge and then these 1x1 plates. We're going to take the 1x1 plates and put them up at the top, and then we're going to take the 2x2 plates with the cut edge, and we're going to put those down on the bottom so that we end up with this. Then onto the exposed studs here, we're going to add another one of these inverted brackets, just like so. Then we can put this back onto the top, just like that. So then what we're going to do, you can see if I turn these upside down, we have these exposed studs here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2x2 tile and connect those 2 parts, just like so. So then we have one big roof piece instead of the previous 2. So then if we bring our ship back, this then only needs to connect to these 2 points, just like so. Now it's time to add the floor back in this section. You remember that we took it out when we moved the feet. So first up here, we're going to add a 1x4 plate. So then right in here, we're going to add 3 of these 2x2 tiles. So then behind those 3 2x2 tiles, we're going to add a 2x6 plate, but on one side we're going to add a 1x6 tile, and the 1x6 tile is going to be facing towards the 2x2 tiles. So now from the other side, we're going to add another 2x6 tile right behind that previous 2x6 tile. So now right here we're going to add a 1x4 plate, just like so. Then right here and right here we're going to add a 2x2 tile, and it has 2 studs on one side. And we're going to want the 2 studs facing out in both directions. So then on this 2x6 tile right here, we're going to add a 1x6 plate. And this is the same one that we took off when we removed the floor. Then right here, we're going to add a 1x2 tile with the 1 stud in the middle, or otherwise called a jumper plate. So next we're going to take these 2 dark tan cheese slopes that we took off before and put them onto these 2 studs on either end. Then in the middle here, onto these 2 studs, we are going to add this piece here. And this is the same thing that we took off earlier. Then onto the top of that, on the far side, we're going to add this piece here, which is a 1x1 cylinder, and it has this little bar piece up at the top. Then we're going to add a 1x1 tile with one side curved, one side flat, and that's going to go on the stud nearest to us. Then onto this little bar piece, we're going to add a clip piece, and that's going to snap on there, and then we can pivot that so that it's pointing out just like so. So now we can add these 2 people who are frozen in carbonite, and we can slide these on those tiles there, and they will fit perfectly in their little spots. So now it's time to fill in this big gap here, and we're going to do that by building the carbon freezing chamber from the TV show. So first, for the bottom of our carbon freezing chamber, we're going to start off with a 2x6 plate. Then onto either end, we're going to add a 1x2 plate. Now next to each of those, we're going to add a dark gray jumper plate, and then in between those jumper plates, we're going to add a graded tile and a 1x2 plate. Just like so. So now we're going to put this off to the side while we work on the next part. So first we're going to start out with a 1x2 plate. Then we're going to add 2 of these snot bricks where the stud is a little ways further back, and we're going to add 1 of these onto each end. Now onto the front here, we're going to add a 1x1 round tile, just like so. Then onto the top, we're going to add a 1x1 dark gray tile, and then we're going to add this little keypad tile, just like so. So now let's make another one of these. So now let's bring our base back, and these are going to go on top of those jumper plates that we put down earlier. So now on one side we're going to add a 1x2 brick that is actually 3 bricks tall. Now on the other side we're going to add a 1x2 regular sized brick, and then on top of that we are going to add a 1x2 brick, and it's 2 bricks tall, and it also has this indent in it. Now onto either side we are going to add a jumper plate. And we're going to add 1 on each side. Then on top of those we're going to add a 1x1 snot brick, and then on top of those snot bricks we are going to add a 1x6 plate. Then onto both of the snot bricks we are going to add these studs with the little nozzle on one end, and we're going to add 1 of those onto each side. So now our carbon freezing chamber goes in this section here, right on top of those tiles. Just like so. Now we're going to add one last thing to our ship, and we are actually going to put it on one of the side panels that looks just like this. This is where we're going to have our weapons rack. So if I flip this over onto the back here, we are going to add a 1x4 plate onto the top, just like there. So now let's build the actual weapons rack, and we are going to start at the bottom. So first we're going to take a 1x2 snot brick, a 1x1 regular brick, and a 1x1 snot brick, and put those all right next to each other. Then on top of those we're going to add a 1x4 plate, and on top of that a 1x3 plate, and next to that a 1x1 tile. Then on top of that we're going to add another 1x2 snot brick, except we're going to have the studs facing the other direction, and then next to that we're going to add a 1x1 brick. Then on top of those we are going to have a 1x1 snot brick, a 1x1 regular brick, and last but not least a 1x1 snot brick. Now on top of these we're going to add 2 of these 1x2 sloped tiles. We're going to add 1 of those onto either side so that we end up with that. Then to this little overhang. So then on this little overhang here we're going to add a 1x1 brick. So next we're going to put some LEGO clips on all but 1 of these outward facing snot bricks. And then on this other stud here, we can add a LEGO thermal detonator. Just like so. Then we're going to take these 3 differently sized LEGO blasters and put them in their little holders on the rack. And all of these are going to actually fit quite perfectly into this rack here. So then if we grab our side panel, these snot bricks on the back will just snap down so that we have our weapons rack. So then our weapons rack will connect right here, and you can see it will fold up perfectly and fit right in. And so, there we have our new and improved Razor Crest. Alright guys, that is our LEGO rebuild video for the LEGO Razor Crest set. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to click subscribe right down there.